Before she became the legendary Virgin Queen, before she defeated the Spanish Armada, before she turned England into a superpower, Elizabeth I was just a little girl born into a storm she never created. A child whose birth disappointed a king. A child whose mother was executed while she was still learning to walk. A child raised by tutors, rumors, and fear instead of love. Her childhood wasn't royal, it was survival. And if you think you know her story, think again. Let's dive into the childhood that forged the most powerful queen in English history. And hey, as we go along, ask yourself, would you survive what she did? Let's see.
What? A girl? It must be a boy!
Elizabeth Tudor was born on September 7th, 1533. England expected a prince. Henry VIII demanded a prince. Priests prayed for a prince. And then they got her. A girl. The court fell silent. The kingdom sighed. Henry VIII, a man who tore England away from the Pope just to marry her mother, Anne Boleyn, stared at this tiny baby like she'd just personally betrayed him. Imagine being born, and your first achievement is disappointing the most powerful man in the country. That was Elizabeth's day one.
You know what's wild? Elizabeth didn't choose any of this roundabout. She literally just existed, and boom, a political crisis. Do you think being born a girl should ever have that kind of impact?
When Elizabeth was 2, she was paraded as the miracle child. Jewels, gowns, musicians, all of it. 1 year later, everything shattered. Her mother, Anne Boleyn, was arrested, charged with adultery, incest, witchcraft. Most of it was political theatre. Henry needed a reason to get rid of her and try again for a son. Anne was executed at the Tower of London. Elizabeth, just a toddler, was stripped of her title, declared illegitimate, removed from succession, and pushed out of the heart of the court. A 3-year-old girl suddenly had no mother, no title, and no idea why the world hated her. Tell me, how does a child grow up from that?
He's simply dreadful today.
Someone said the king's wanting to annul the marriage again.
Oh dear, not again.
Growing up, Elizabeth learned very quickly. Silence was safety. Study was survival. She buried herself in books, languages, theology, philosophy, music. Her mind became sharper than any blade Henry VIII ever swung. By age 10, she read Latin and Greek like bedtime stories. By 12, she debated religion better than scholars. By 14, she could charm anyone in court, but trusted no one. She was building a kingdom inside her own mind because the real world kept reminding her she didn't belong.
Honestly, from the outside, it looked like Elizabeth's childhood was this quiet academic dream. But underneath, it was fear and strategy. Do you think a kid should have to grow up calculating every move?
Eek!
Guilty.
Disgusting!
blasted!
When Elizabeth was around 14, she lived with her stepmother, Catherine Parr, Henry VIII's last wife, and a genuinely nurturing woman. But Catherine remarried after Henry's death to Thomas Seymour, and that's when things took a dangerous turn. Thomas Seymour started sneaking into Elizabeth's room early in the mornings, tickling her, cutting her dress as a joke, wrestling her in the garden. It was deeply inappropriate. It could have ruined her reputation permanently. It nearly did. Catherine Parr tried to supervise them, but even she couldn't stop the rumor mill. Eventually, Catherine had no choice. She sent Elizabeth away. But the damage was done. Elizabeth learned a lesson she'd never forget. A woman's reputation is a weapon, one that can kill her faster than any sword. This scandal would haunt her for decades.
Unhand me, peasants! I am the Queen!
Then came 1547. Henry VIII died. Elizabeth was 13, an age where most teens worry about clothes or crushes. She worried about which powerful man might try to use her next. The kingdom was unstable. Factions battled for control of the young new king, her half-brother Edward VI. Elizabeth stayed quiet, observant, cautious. Her childhood had trained her well. Trust no one, watch everyone. And that instinct may have saved her life.
Imagine being a teenage girl in a world where every mistake could get you killed. Can you blame Elizabeth for becoming guarded? Would you relax if you were in her shoes? Let's be honest.
Then came the moment that defined her forever. The moment she thought she would die, her half-sister Mary became queen. Rebellions erupted against Mary, and Elizabeth was accused of supporting them, even though historians still debate whether she was part of it. But truth didn't matter. Politics did. Elizabeth was dragged to the Tower of London, the same place her mother died, the same walls, the same sounds. Soldiers marched her through the rain, past ravens, past stone halls, soaked in execution history. Elizabeth reportedly said, "If my head will fall, let it fall. I am innocent." She slept that night, knowing the axe could come at dawn. But Mary hesitated. Killing Elizabeth could ignite more rebellions. Keeping Elizabeth alive, though, kept a threat breathing. So Mary chose the middle path. Elizabeth was released but watched, studied, feared, controlled. But Elizabeth had survived the tower, and surviving the tower meant she could survive anything.
It's easy to judge from the future, but back then, one wrong ally, one wrong letter, one wrong rumor, that was death. So think about it. If YOU were Elizabeth, what choice would you make?
By the time Elizabeth was 20, her childhood had carved her into something rare. A survivor, a strategist, a queen in waiting. Every betrayal made her cautious. Every loss made her disciplined. Every fear made her fearless. So when she finally took the throne in 1558, she wasn't just ruling England, she was ruling her trauma. And that trauma turned into the power that built the Elizabethan Golden Age, If you want the next chapter, how she became the woman who defeated the world's strongest empire, let me know. Do you think you'd have survived her childhood? Because honestly, most of us wouldn't.